Hello, this is Larry Bolinger. I'm a candidate for Attorney General in Nebraska in the 2022 election. And this video is just on a brief bit of information on how I would revamp the offices of the Attorney General. Now, the Attorney General works with about 100 different lawyers, clerks, and assistants. And um, how you create your team depends on how you want to focus that legal process. Um, Now, for a number of years, we've had more focus on criminal lawyers representing the state, representing the people. Now, if you uh, look in the mind of a criminal lawyer, you look at what are they going to be focused on? Are they going to be focused on penalties or focused on uh, civil liberties? Are they going to be representing the people, or are they going to be representing the bureaucracies or political party? Um, as a state attorney, uh, you gotta. I assume that it's going to be a position that you cannot afford to be biased. If they're biased, you remove them from office. That'd be a priority. But anyway, if you have, let's say 100 uh, lawyers that are criminal lawyers, you can assume that one thing they're going to be focused on is more and more penalties or compounding your penalties. So if somebody gets busted on one thing, they tack on another five, six, seven different law violations on top of that. It's like, well, why do you do that? Just do the one penalty and increase the what it is. Why have five or six? Um, but what I would like to see is a change in that particular direction. Um, what I'd like to see is people specialize in different uh, areas of the Constitution to help argue and defend individual liberties, people's individual rights. So basically, the Attorney General is a public advocate. Um, so you might argue issues of child support, consumer protection, antitrust laws, arguing different policies. I mean, if you're going to change policies, you got to do the research analysis, do the write up, present it to the legislature to make the changes. Um, you have to uh, understand a lot about the environmental laws, hold our government accountable, make sure that they're following those policies and procedures, helps protect our land and water rights here across the entire state. And you do represent the state, and you implement civil suits on behalf of the state. Um, and that's just to name a few things that the Attorney General is supposed to work on. So you got to have specialized areas, people who can argue consumer rights, go out of the way and make sure that the state and even federal laws are abiding by those laws. I had one that I had argued, um, which is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is Congress assumed it under the copyright policy, but it's not even a copy and use program. It's a policy that basically says that if you work on certain electronics, such as the electronic system in a John Deere tractor, you'd be in violation of federal law. Uh, so some companies like John Deere, Apple, and Tesla, they force people to sign an end user agreement, forcing them to basically say that you're buying the product, but you don't really own it. It makes it so it's illegal to work on the property you bought. Um, in some countries, they've went out of their way and created policies that allow a right to repair. And that's what we have tried doing in the legislature in Nebraska, plus 20 other different states, has been pushing right to repair to override this Digital Millennium Copyright Act, because that policy is actually a consumer rights violation. And in Apple computers, they were sued by Australia. They got a cool $9 million out of a lawsuit for consumer rights violations. And an attorney general has to look at the legality of the issue, and it is a consumer rights violation. Why it failed in our legislature is, I don't know, just I think some of our senators just fear that John Deere might pull all the business out of Nebraska, which is the rumor of why they fear that. But you know what? They could lose 20 different states. They could have lost Europe. I mean, they made their point and made their policy, so they have to follow the right to repair in Europe and in Australia. So it's not just Nebraska. It could be 2 countries plus 20 states. You know, it just you step up to these tyrants that override your right on policies, or your right to your own product that you bought. But other issues or specialists that I would need to have in office would be specialists that knows each individual amendment, you know, and specializing in one amendment can be quite a bit. You know, when I studied constitutional law at UNO. Just for example, when I studied the First Amendment, that was a 400-page book. You know, knowing every single detail in that specific constitutional law can be quite a bit. You know, I know a lot about constitutional law, but it takes a team to represent well in the state. And that is my primary focus, is to make sure that we have the representatives available so we can properly represent the people and represent the state. We cannot do that if our only focus is on criminal law. That is a county issue. State issue is representing the people. Thank you.